Hey, welcome. So you made it to the fifth lesson, and in this lesson, we'll be covering data manipulation language. So if you've heard about SQL or before, or this is just your first time, don't worry, okay? So I'll be walking you through this topic step by step, and you don't have to worry. Okay, so in this topic, we'll be covering inserting, updating statement, deleting statements, as well as transaction management. So let's quickly dive in. What we currently have that we'll be seeing is the create statement. And now let's talk about the create database statement. So this command is used to create a brand new database in our SQL environment, and the syntax is very simple: create database, database name. So here we'll replace database name with the actual name of our database, but to keep in mind, you need to make sure that this name would be unique to the database. Okay, no two databases can have the same name. So let's quickly jump to SQL and practice this. Great. So now that we are here, we want to navigate to new query, select it, and it's going to open a fresh page. Okay, so give it a second. Great. So now we want to enter our query, want to type our query. Remember, the syntax is create database, then database name. So in this case, we'll say create database. Okay, then our database name, let's name it practice DB. Okay, as simple as that. So we're going to execute this quickly. And as you can see, commands completed successfully. So you want to come here now. On our left panel here, you click refresh, and we can see some databases already here, but that's fine. We'll see our new database in a second. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, practice DB, and that's how we create databases in SQL. So now that we have seen how to create a database in our SQL environment, the next type of create statement we'll be seeing is the create table. Okay, so we want to create a table in our database where we actually store our data. Okay, and yeah, so the syntax too is simple. So we have the first line, create table, table name, then we have column 1, data type, constraint, column 2, the data type of column 2 also, as well as its constraint, and you close brackets. So let's quickly break it down. So table name in this case will be the name of the table we'll be creating. Again, it should be unique. No two tables should have the same name. And column 1, column 2 are the columns in the table. Okay, so we'll be defining the columns in our table. The data type in this case specifies the type of data which the column will store. It may be integer, it may be varchar, it may be dates, and so on and so forth. Now, the constraint here will be the rules for the column, right? It could be primary key, it could be not null, default, examples like that. So let's quickly go back to SQL and create our very first table in our database. Okay, great. Now that we are back here, we want to create our first table. So the thing now, we can use a new query, just so we don't jumble things up. I want you to note that, as you can see, we have 4 different databases here. If you want to create a table, we need to tell SQL which database would like to create that table. So to be able to do that, we'll say use, then we'll tell SQL which database we want to use. So that will be practice DB, so we'll double click. All right, that's great. Then hit enter. So we remember that the syntax for creating a table is create table, then table name. In this case, we'll name it employees. Let's see, employees. Then you open your bracket, hit enter. So now the first column here would be employee ID. Okay, then the data type for employee ID would be integer, so int. Then the constraint in this case would be primary key. Okay, it's primary key because we want it to be unique, right? We don't want any two customers, or in this case employees, to have the same ID. All right, to distinctively identify each employee in our database. So now that we've had that down, we would also like to add their first name. So say first. Okay, since I did not start with a capital letter, it's just ideal I say employee ID. So in this case we say first name. Okay, so first name here would be varchar, then 50. Okay, this 50 is the limit on varchar, so it won't, this colon will not take anything more than 50 characters. Okay, so want last name also, last name too, the same thing, varchar. Okay, so 50. What else would you like to add? Let's say their email. Okay, email would be varchar also, and in this case let's make it 100, and let's also say it's unique. Okay, so that means no two employee can have the same email. Okay, great. So that being said, I also like to add their phone number, their department. So quickly, phone. So phone would be varchar. Yeah, if you guess integer, well, we don't want colon to be integer so that it won't be a calculated field. Okay, so we don't want phone number to be calculatable, so let's leave that as 20. Okay, so department, like I said, be fast with this, varchar. Then okay, so let's leave this as 50. Okay, salary. Then salary should be decimal. Okay, because you might have decimal points, right? It may, someone may be earning, let's say 250,000, maybe 50 kobo or so. So yeah, due to tax or some other things. So let's say decimal, and let's put it at 10,2. So that means 2 decimal places. Then lastly, their date. So say hire dates, hire underscore date, the date we hired them. Then this will just leave it as dates. Okay, great. So now we can close the brackets and we're good to go. So let's quickly run this to see what we have. We'll execute this. So highlight everything and hit execute. So as we can see, commands completed successfully. So let's quickly see the table we just created. So let's say select all from, don't worry, we'll treat this very soon. So from the table name, say custom employees. Okay, there we go. Double click and let's see what we have. Okay, so as we can see, our employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone, department, salary, and hire date, just as we've imputed them here. Okay, let's jump back to class. But before that, as we can see, our table does not contain any values, so we'll be seeing how to insert some values in our tables, so stick around. So now that we've learned how to create a table in our database, the next step is to learn how to populate this table with data. So this is where the insert statement comes in. Okay, we used to add new rows into a table, to add data into that table. And this is its syntax: insert into table name, that's the table you want to insert this data into. Then we have column 1, column 2, as many columns as you want. Okay, so next we have the values. Okay, so these are the actual values that you want to be inserted into the table. So now that we've had that down, let's quickly jump into SQL and practice this. Okay, so to do this, remember the syntax, insert into table name. So let's quickly do that. So we have insert into, so the table name now is employees. I'll just double click. Okay, then the actual columns that we want to insert this data into. So we have employee ID. Next we have first name. Okay, we have last name. Okay, I'm just going to double click, comma, enter. Let me adjust this. Okay, so after last name we have email, then we have phone, we have department, salary, and lastly hire dates. Okay, now that we have this down, we can quickly go to the values. Okay, so you say values. All right, so now these are the actual data that we want to impute into our table. So now for the values, the first employee ID, we have 1. Okay, integer, remember the employee ID of our first employee. So now the person's first name is Sandra. Okay, then Uche. I'm using single quote because Sandra and Uche are both strings. So when I use single quote, I tell SQL that this is a string, so treat it as such. Okay, for 1 is an integer, I will not need to put it into a single quote. But when I do put numbers into single quotes, SQL treat those numbers as strings, not actual numbers. Okay, so we have Uche, then our email is Sandra Uche at email.com. Then I want to close the quote. Okay, so her phone number is 08090123456. Okay, then I'll hit enter, a comma first, then enter, so it can fit in our screen. Then okay, our department, let's say IT. You see how I put phone numbers in single quotes? Okay, I don't want my phone numbers to be treated as an integer. Okay, so I want it to be treated as string, so we will not be able to perform any calculations on it. Okay, so our department is IT. Her salary is 250,000. We don't need, salary does not need to be in single quotes. Okay, so we want to be able to calculate that, it's a calculated field. Great. Then a hire date is 2023 10. Okay, great, and we close this bracket and we're all done. So let's quickly highlight this and execute. Okay, so as we can see, 1 row affected, that means it has been executed. So we want to come and execute this again to see what we have in our table. So execute. Okay, and as you can see, we have a row in our table for the first time, and you see employee ID 1, first name Sandra, her last name is Uche, her email is uche@email.com, our phone number, department, salary, and hire date. So this is how we want it to look. Okay, but what happens when we want to input multiple details or data into our table? So you have to repeat this whole process. Okay, very, very long, but there's another syntax to use. So I'm just going to quickly show you that in case you want to insert more than one data at a go. So I'm just going to copy this. It's still insert into. So Ctrl V. All right. Then for the values, it will not be values. It would be. Hit enter here. So now it would be select. Stick with me, okay? So it will be select. So the next ID I want is 2. Okay, 2 for another employee. So 2, the name of this employee is Amaka, her first name. Okay, so Amaka. Okay, her last name is Eze. Okay, email Amaka Eze at email.com. Okay, what else do we have? We have phone. Okay, so it could be. Okay, it does not matter. Then a department, I will put a comma and then enter. So a department here is, let's say, HR. So treat it as string, don't forget. Okay, hold on. So HR, our salary is 200,000 naira. Then she was hired, say 2020. Okay, 0101. Okay, then so this is one data. Okay, so let's say I want to impute for somebody else. Now I will hit enter and I will use union or. Okay, so that's what I'll be using. So union or. Hit enter. Then in this case, we want to go ahead and add the new data, right, for the new employee. So my turn off my cap lock. Okay, so select again. Select. Okay, so now that would be 3. So this is David. Give my slow typing, by the way, trying to not make mistakes. So this is David. Let's say Lakunle. Okay, then his email is david.lakunle, okay, at email.com. Okay, then his phone number is, say, okay, that's good. So I'll hit enter there. Then his department is, let's say he's in marketing. Okay, then his salary is 300,000 naira. 1 2 3. Okay, cool. Then his hire date, let's say 2021 02 04. Okay, great. So if I want to insert more data, I will just keep going. I'll just keep saying union or, then insert. I will say select, then the data, union or, select, then the data. So let's quickly run this, execute it, and let's see what we'll get. So execute. Okay, as you can see, 2 rows affected. That's fine. Okay, so we want to see what we have in our data, in our table. Okay, so keep in mind that we just added Amaka Eze and David Lakunle. So let's quickly see. So we want to highlight this and execute. Okay, so as we can see, we initially had only Sandra in our table, but as you can see now, we have Amaka Eze as well as David Lakunle. Great. All right, the next statement we'll be seeing is the update statement. So after inserting data into a table, so there may be times that we need to update or even modify existing records. This is where the update statement comes in. The update statement allows us make change to our data, to one or more columns, in fact. So let's quickly break down its syntax. It's a very simple one. Update table name, then set colon 1 equals value 1, comma colon 2 equals value 2, where then you add your condition. So the table name here is where we want to update our data, the specific table. Set specifies the colon with their new values, okay, inside that table. Then the where condition here filters which row should be affected. And now, if you omit this where condition, I want you to pay attention to this, okay? You must specify where. If this where condition is omitted, all the rows in the table will be updated, and that's not what we want, since we only want to update either 1 or 2 rows in a column in our table. So you want to make sure you don't skip this part, okay? So let's say, for instance, one of our employees wants to, let's say Amaka, okay, her salary has been increased, so we want to change that. So let's quickly see how it will be done. So as we can see in our table, Amaka Eze with employee ID 2 currently earns 200,000, and say her salary has been increased to 220,000. If we want to update that, let's see how we'll do it. So remember the syntax. So update, where do we want to actually update? You state the table employees, okay? Then set, so say set which column now? Salary. So we set salary to be equals to 220, right? So 220,000 naira, no longer 200,000 naira. Then where, you must specify where, okay? So where employee ID, where employee ID is equals to 2. So where employee ID is equals to 2, that is Amaka Eze, right? So we want to set her new salary to be 220,000 naira. So just hold this image in your head, because we'll execute this and this will change in a second. So let's quickly do that now. So I'll highlight this, then execute. So it says 1 row affected. That's great. So we want to come up here and select this, then execute. So as we can see, Amaka Eze currently has 220,000 naira as her salary instead of 200,000. Okay, great. So let's jump back to class and finish this video up. So the last type of statement we'll be seeing is the alter statement. So the alter statement is used when we need to change the structure of an existing table. Okay, we just want to change the structure. So this could mean that we need to add a new column, or modify an existing column, or we can even remove the column entirely using the alter statement. So let's quickly take a look at its syntax. So again, very simple. So we have alter table, then the table name, Then we also have add colon name data type. Okay, so alter table name just specifies which table we want to modify, but the add colon name, then the data type, adds a new column with the specified data type. Okay, let's quickly go into SQL to practice this. So we're back here now. Let's assume we want to insert a new column in our employee tables called job title now. Okay, so to do that, we'll use the alter statement. And so let's see the syntax. Alter table, right? Alter table. What's our table name again? Employee. Okay, employees. Then we want to add, is that right? We want to add, okay, we want to add job title, job underscore title. Oh, hey, ups. All right, job underscore title. Then we want to also make sure that this is a varchar, is that right? So we put the data type varchar, then the constraint would be let's say 50 is fine. Okay, then we'll execute this now to add a new column to our table. So execute. Okay, command completed successfully. Let's quickly execute this as well. Execute. Aha, so we see a new column here named job title, and we don't have anything in our column, so it's going to return everything as null. All right, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something, and do well to like this video and leave me a comment if you have any question or anything to say at all. I'll see you in the next video.